Hi, I'm Jürgen Strauss from InnovaBuzz and welcome to episode number 16 of the InnovaBuzz podcast. The podcast designed to help smart businesses with an interest in innovation and the Internet of Things become even more innovative. Now in this episode, my guest is Mandy Brasser from Streamline for Success, who are business efficiency experts that help their clients establish the right processes, the right systems, and the right people in their business. They are also Infusionsoft certified partners, and we'll learn a lot more about that in the podcast. Now, Mandy is very passionate about serving her customers and bringing clarity and efficiency to the marketing process. We talk quite a bit about processes and automation, but also about common sense and about how it's important that you don't abandon personal interactions with your clients as part of building your systems and processes. This is another inspiring interview, so stay tuned. Now this podcast, as always, is sponsored by InnovaBuzz, where we help smart, innovative business owners save time and money by making their websites achieve more. Of course, at InnovaBuzz we do more than just build websites. We provide solutions to our clients' needs by leveraging the power of the internet in innovative ways. If you want to learn more about that, then go to innovabiz.com.au. Or if you're ready to find out about how our magic can help you, then go to innovabiz.com.au/WAC to apply for our website accelerator session. Now before we meet Mandy, a quick competition announcement. This week's competition prize is sponsored by Mandy, who has very generously donated a marketing session valued at $297 with Mandy herself, analysing your entire customer lifecycle systems to improve your conversions. That sounds like an awesome prize, so stick around for details on how you can enter the draw to win that competition later on in the interview. Now, without further ado, let's go to the Innovation Hive and get the buzz from Mandy Brasser.
This is the InnovaBuzz podcast, helping smart businesses be even more innovative.
Hi, I'm Jürgen Strauss from InnovaBuzz, and I'd like to welcome you to this episode of the InnovaBuzz podcast, and it's my great privilege to have here with me today Mandy Brasser from Streamline for Success. And Mandy, you're based in Queensland, right? Whereabouts in Queensland?
Yeah, I am based in Queensland. Thanks, Jürgen. Yeah, I'm based at basically near Kirra Beach. So it's a short stroll to Kirra Beach, and it's lovely.
Yeah, lovely spot there. So, we'll look forward to learning more about how you managed to work at a lovely place like that, because obviously with what you do, I think it's almost remote. It's almost location independent, but we'll learn a little bit more about that. It's a great privilege to have you on the InnovaBuzz podcast. And just for our listeners and viewers, Streamline for Success is a business that basically they're business efficiency experts that help their clients to establish the right processes, the right systems, and the right people in their business. They're also an Infusionsoft certified partner, so we'll learn a lot more about that today. But before we learn more about Streamline for Success, Mandy has very generously donated this week's prize, which is a lifecycle marketing session valued at $297 with Mandy herself, where she'll spend 90 minutes with you reviewing your entire customer life cycle, and all the way from capturing leads through to nurturing prospects to selling to customer fulfillment and all the things that follow on from that until you actually convert those leads to paying customers. She'll identify specific areas that you can focus on to focus your attention on to uncover opportunities to automate that whole process, and that's a big thing of I think that Mandy will tell us about today, and help you accelerate your business growth. So stick around later on in the interview to find out how you can enter the draw to win that prize, and I'm tempted to actually enter that myself because that sounds like an awesome prize.
Yeah, awesome.
Yeah. All right, Mandy. So before we get on to all things lead generation and automation and business systems and processes, take us back to your childhood. When you were a little girl, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Yeah, I actually wanted to be a few different things. I actually wanted to be an architect. My dad was a builder, and for some reason I kind of used to draw house plans for hours at a time. It's a crazy thing to even admit to and kind of share and have that actually happen throughout high school. I used to just draw house designs. I don't know why, but I just did, and I really enjoyed it. And then just I think I wanted
pen and paper, or?
Yeah, the old school way. Yeah, not online. Yes, that's it. So I did that, and I really enjoyed it. And then I thought maybe I'd be a teacher and a few different other things, maybe do something in sport. But one of the things that I really was clear about growing up is I like doing different things. I like different challenges, and I really strongly believe that I wanted to do something that I loved doing and I was really passionate about doing. And although obviously I'm not an architect, and we're not here talking about being an architect today, but it's something that I think even as a kid I kind of realised the value of that, and it's certainly kind of transformed into the jobs and careers and the business that I have now. So it certainly helped, sure. No architect though.
Yeah. So you're kind of a business architect now with systems, processes and people, right?
Yeah, that's it. Different form, definitely.
Yeah. So what led you then from the desire to be an architect through to teaching, through to the business processing and business advice? Yeah,
there was definitely a few things in between there. So I grew up in Mackay, and I knew I wanted to sort of leave Mackay and go to Brisbane and do a course that actually wasn't offered in Mackay, just so I could get out of Mackay. Nothing against Mackay, I really enjoyed growing up there, but I wanted kind of some new opportunities that I saw really being accessible through kind of the next step, the capital of Queensland. Yeah. So I went to uni, I did 2 degrees there, and one of them was around like sports management, leisure management, and then I did a business degree as well. And I ended up majoring in HR, so human resources, and at the time, I really kind of enjoyed the people side of things, and then I ended up getting a job and progressing quite quickly in corporations to a senior global role in HR, which I'm very fortunate and grateful that I was able to progress very quickly there. And one of the things about that was I ended up sort of more specialising in sort of project work, analytics, HR systems and process design. And I really, really loved that aspect. And I actually got to work on some incredible projects involving like 100,000 employees globally across 130 countries, to saving some companies hundreds of thousands of dollars in efficiencies and those sort of things through just re-engineering some of the processes they had in the HR side of things. So I really loved that component, and I love that aspect, and certainly there were people in where I worked and in the team that I was part of that loved what they did and was very passionate about what they did. But I think I really struggled with the clientele of corporates, and getting a decision made, as you probably would know, Jürgen, sometimes may take 6 months. And, that's really hard to sometimes sit back and realise that there's a great gap we've got here, or we've got a great opportunity to really empower our staff or fix something that's broken that will really impact people's ability to do their job more effectively.
Yeah, so particularly in the HR area, the big corporates often say, we can park that for now because we've got so many other things we need to do.
You're spot on, Jürgen, because oftentimes the HR side of things is more seen as proactive, and we'll get to that later. Yeah. And that's one of the things that I absolutely loved bringing to the HR space, is more of the analytics about, well, if we don't do this, what is it going to cost us as a business? And if we introduce this initiative, then what's the return we're going to get? And I love that component, and unfortunately it was still a little too slow for me in some respects. And so it was, for me, around reflecting. I loved what I did, which was obviously, as I mentioned before, very important growing up, but it wasn't necessarily the right fit in terms of who I was working with. So then I made the decision to change that focus and provide that knowledge and expertise to the small business space, in forms of particularly the process design. What are we doing step 1 and step 2 to get a particular outcome? What systems and tools are available to help us get there faster and leverage our time? And then the people side, obviously my experience in HR, how do they come into the picture there? And usually that's kind of the last step. How can you fit the people in around, you know, some of the other aspects that you've got going on? So that, I feel like that's my whole history. Sometimes.
Okay, that's fascinating, yeah. I've been involved in the past in quite a bit of process design and that, and one of the challenges always was actually getting people on board in, okay, here's the process we're going to follow now, because it actually improves things, but getting people on board. So did you find that as a big challenge?
Yeah, definitely, and certainly learnt a lot of lessons along the way, particularly when you're working with processes that impact thousands of people. You can't necessarily go and consult with thousands of people. We'd never get anything done.
Yeah.
So it was really being able to identify some of the key people who are involved in that process, whether they're actually doing it or they're on the receiving end of that process, and understanding what their needs were and what wasn't working in the existing process, and where we could identify opportunities to make it better and more efficient and fill up some of those holes that weren't quite working. So it was definitely a challenge. I definitely agree with what you're saying there, because you don't want to necessarily introduce something that no one takes up and they go back to what they were doing before.
Yeah,
so
right.
It's not just about consulting with them, it's actually understanding why we're doing it the way we are now, and getting them on board around that as well, which is really critical. Yeah.
Okay, and so how did Streamline for Success come about?
Yeah, it was really out of that kind of, I'd like to kind of say a midlife crisis that I had, but I'm not
early for that.
Yet. A little early for that. But I had a moment after kind of doing some consulting work for a pretty big corporation that I was saying about before is, you know, I love what I do, but it's just not the right fit. And it was really about just taking the time out, and it was a number of months kind of going, well, how can I transform, you know, the consulting side of my business and serve, you know, the people that are really passionate about what they do, and they're business owners, and they want to get out there and make things happen in the world. And it was really, it was over a couple of months that I really kind of reflected on where I was at. You know, 10 years in a profession may seem like a short period of time or a long period of time, depending on your skills of thought these days. But, you know, that was a big decision to make, to kind of walk away from a very safe career and safe option, to then go, well, actually, you know, I think, you know, and I know that, you know, I can add a lot of value to small businesses, and that's kind of where it all started. I'd been using, as you said, Infusionsoft. I'm a certified partner with Infusionsoft. I'd been using the software in my business for about 3 years at the time, and I did some training with the team that came over from the States, and kind of had a look at what they were doing and what they stood for as a business, and I was curious about their culture, being a kind of HR person, and I was very impressed with what they stood for. And I guess that's how it sort of transitioned. It was kind of, you know, how sometimes you kind of question things and then doors open, and then voila, you've kind of decided to kind of launch a new brand. So that's sort of how it all came about, and certainly haven't looked back since.
Yeah, that sounds like a really good fit, and I think, you know, there's a message in that if you're very clear about your own vision, values, and what value you can offer yourself in terms of your background, your experience, and what you're passionate about, then, like you say, if you recognise a potential partner, or in this case it's it is a partnership, you're a certified partner, right? That, you know, you immediately recognise there's a fit there, because you're very sure about your own values and your own things that you provide, your benefits and value that you provide your customers.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think with values, like, you know, they can change and morph into different things, but certainly when making that decision, and it still resonates with me now that, you know, this is the right course of action, and I'm really excited to be partnering with them, and then really serving particularly the Australian community of users and people looking to automate their sales and marketing here. Yeah. So
when you meet somebody, say at a networking event for the first time, how do you describe what you do in a very short sentence?
Yeah, it's always a tough one, right? Because you want to.
When they say, "Oh, hi, Mandy, what do you do?"
Yeah, for me, it's really about working with small businesses to help automate their sales and marketing, and for me, it's about allowing, particularly the business owner, to leverage their time more so they can go out and serve more people. Because particularly the people that I work with have big visions. They really want to impact a large amount of people. And typically they're sort of coaches, consultants who are in that space that they're really providing a value add service. And I'm sure there's lots of other services out there, but they've got a bigger mission. And most companies do, but really in that space, it's very service based. So it's really partnering with them to make sure that we're utilising processes and systems and a team around them so that they can go out there and spread their message with more people. That was way more than one sentence, but maybe the first sentence that I said, that was the one.
Yeah. So well, definitely it's all about, and just for everybody that is listening into this interview, Mandy and I have done some work together, so I have a little bit of a knowledge of how she operates, and it definitely is all about automating processes that can then free up time of the business owner to do, in the case of the coaches, for example, to do coaching, which is what they're good at, where they add the most value.
Definitely. Yeah. And I think, there's so many opportunities, even other businesses. Like I'm speaking with a personal training company at the moment and setting up, just automating like electronic signatures online and stuff like that, as you would know in your world, Jürgen, like just the opportunities to automate some of those functions so that people can just do coaching or go out and do events and impact more people's lives. I mean, it's certainly just allows that to happen at a faster rate than just relying on kind of doing things the manual and sometimes hard way.
Yeah. All right. So, and what do you spend most of your time now doing day to day?
Yeah, in the business, it's definitely meeting with clients and either doing strategy sessions, client training sessions. Implementation is a big thing. That's generally where I spend a lot of my time. Marketing and sales, obviously, it's key to everyone's business. Everyone should still be doing that, even if you've got it automated. I mean, there's still a part that you need to do on the personal front. And a big thing for me for Streamline for Success, it's seeing how we can also apply these same principles that we're utilising with our customers, so that I can leverage my time and deliver more programs to my customers as well. So that's, I guess, where I'm spending my time. Yeah,
okay. All right, that's good, yeah. So do you worry about anything in your business? Is there something that keeps you awake at night?
I think everyone does, right? Yeah, I do. Definitely, I find it hard to sleep because I love what I do, as I said. I absolutely love it, and I get ideas.
Yeah.
I think when I'm at night time, because I actually work a little bit at night because I actually find that's a really productive time for me to work. That's when the ideas start flooding in, and whether it's something for a client, we should do it that way, or whether it's an idea I've got in my business around a funnel or lead magnets or something like that. It's sometimes difficult. I don't know if you experience that too. It's sometimes difficult to just stop it off, to stop thinking.
Yeah, all the time. I've started this year to discipline myself to shut down. Actually, I've automated the computer shutdown at 8:30 in the evening. Good, which I'm still trying to figure out the best way to do that, because I've lost some work. It actually shuts down before I get to save it, but I've now got a little warning that comes up 5 minutes before, and I'm really good so far. I've been disciplined and said, okay, save everything, shut it down, stop in the middle, and then of course then I can go and do some read something that's not work related. And that's a bit of a switch off before I go to bed, but certainly I've got the pen and pad next to the bed, so when I wake up in the middle of the night and have all these ideas, I can write them down. I find that counterproductive in a way, though, because writing down the ideas kind of sparks more ideas.
Yes.
The theory is it empties your brain and you can get back to sleep, but it empties my brain and then another idea pops up.
Yes, I understand what you mean. And there's some really great like plugins and stuff that actually fades your screen as well, not just kind of the cold kind of shut down. So I don't know what they are, but I've been suggested them before as well. I'm like, I need to get onto those to kind of start.
I'll have to look up some of those.
Yeah.
All right. So what do you see as the biggest challenge in building your business?
Biggest challenge is no doubt being a service-based business and I guess trading time for money. I think a lot of coaches and consultants will experience that as well. And that's where, as I mentioned before, is where I'm looking at ways that I can leverage my time by bringing in a team, but also developing programs online and courses in a group nature, whether it's, like webinars to deliver content to multiple people. And that's really where I see some great opportunities to be able to help more people. So it's certainly a challenge and it's certainly a great opportunity all at the same time, all bundled together, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I've been reading a lot recently about productizing your service, that very point is because like you say, if you're one person with the expertise, even if you build a team around you with the expertise, it's still time for money unless you can leverage it in a product or a group setting, like you say.
Yeah, definitely, or a workshop or something like that. And I think particularly for me, because I do really enjoy what I do, and having that interaction with clients and building working out what our plan of attack is and what we're going to build. Certainly for me, it's not something that I want to run away from. I really love doing it. So it's just kind of balancing, still doing that, and then providing some other options for people who may not engage on a one-on-one basis, but also to leverage my time to have online programs and other things like that. So, yeah.
Okay. And when did you first discover the web?
Wow, the web. I remember at school, I remember setting up my first email address, which I don't even think I have access to anymore. But it was probably back in high school that we started sort of talking about the internet. We didn't really have it at home, or we had very limited downloads back in the day where you look at a couple of pages and you've exceeded your limit for the month. Or
So and you had to dial up and you heard the little ringtone and until it connected.
But I don't remember using it too much until going to uni, actually. I think we had a computer at home, but between my two sisters and I doing school and my elder sister going to university, and I think there was quite, it was a hot spot to actually get onto a computer, and try and compete to get some time on the computer. So I think it was mainly when I went to uni that some of the courses and stuff were delivered, booking in tutorials and lectures and stuff online. That's probably more when I started to use it more.
Yeah. All right. Now, one of the questions I usually ask my guests is, how do you use the internet in innovative ways? So I'll fire that one at you. I know you sort of expect that you might give a plug for Infusionsoft here.
Yeah. I can't miss that. But definitely, I mean, I could go on for days here with answering that question. But for me, definitely Infusionsoft helps with that. And there's so many ways, and the online is changing all the time. And I think that's one thing that Infusionsoft does really well, is being able to target exactly their market, which is the small business market, and being able to tap into how can we help you capture leads, and utilising your services, Jürgen, to set up a good website portfolio and make sure that's all set up correctly. But it's kind of from that point onwards that Infusionsoft really comes in there, and once you've got that lead, then what are you going to do with that lead? So it's really about how you can set up some automation behind it. If they sign up for your free newsletter, free report, or a free session with you, then how can we go about helping them educate them with the information that they need to know, whether they want to make a purchase decision to engage with you right now, or whether you want to sort of nurture them for a little bit longer and help them along the path of making that purchase decision later on. So definitely the internet, I mean, that's all on the web and cloud-based, so you can access it, you know, from anywhere, which, as you said at the start, allows me to kind of live at Kira Beach, because there's certainly no corporations or no other businesses going on down here. Obviously a lot of small businesses, but you know, it allows you to be able to use the platform wherever you are, as long as you've got your desktop and access to internet. So it's really being able to capture leads and automate some of that follow-up through email, through text reminders, those sort of things, and automate your internal processes as well, and how you can leverage that. So there's so much you can do. Online programs, running, you know, webinars, event registrations, the list goes. The list goes on. Affiliate programs and getting other people to promote what you do online, so that you can give a commission to them, and then they also are helping you build your business as well. So there's so much there that's possible online, whether it's through Infusionsoft, which is great, or you know, plugging into other systems and tools that are out there as well.
Yeah, and one of the things that I find quite amazing there is it is a really good tool for helping with that productization of services that we were talking about earlier, and also with all the things developing on the internet, there's so many different programs that are plugging in together, and so that you can actually connect, you know, like in simple terms, connect your email through to, you know, an event registration, to a payment, to a reminder system, to SMS reminders like you mentioned. So
yeah, absolutely. And I think even just segmenting your contacts, I mean, it sounds like such a simple thing to do. I was talking to a business owner not long ago who's, I don't know how she's gotten away with it, to be honest, but she uses Outlook to email her hundreds of people. So she does them in batches. I'm just like, oh my gosh, really? And it takes her hours to do each time she wants to send out an email.
Yeah, and you have to do it in batches of about 50, don't you? Because I don't think it lets you do more than that.
I think,
if I remember correctly.
Yes, I think so too. So thankfully we're looking at how we can automate that for you. But, you know, being able to look at your contacts and communicate with them regularly, and keep, you know, at the front of their mind, or keep in regular communication with them. But also segment them as well, so that you're not talking to them about something, you know, that they've already purchased before, or that they're actually not even interested in. Yeah, and I mean, that engagement is at such a higher level than just kind of, I would say, probably spamming people just with, you know, bits and pieces that aren't really relevant to them. And that's, you know, that's really the power of what's possible online now with some of the tools that are around. Yeah.
All right. Now, sort of, you know, as someone that kind of is doing a lot of things that are very innovative in your business, so what do you see as the risks involved in doing things different, going out to, you know, out on a limb, perhaps, in innovation?
Yeah, there are definitely a few risks. I think for sure around your customer service. As much as it's awesome to automate, sometimes you do need to just get on the phone and talk to people, reach out to people.
Personal touch, yeah.
Yeah, the personal touch. And, you know, as I said before about the segmenting, but it's not just segmenting and communicating with what's relevant to your audience. You know, it's addressing and making the automation that's possible personalised, you know, using some of the features that are in there to say, hi, Joe, instead of, hi, blah, 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 and refer to things that are actually relevant to them. And I think it's got to be put in perspective about balancing, you know, that personal interaction with the automation, and making sure it's at the right mix. And I think looking at your demographic as well, you know, your demographic might be really savvy, and text might be the way to go to interact with them, or Facebook messages might even be the way to interact with them. I've seen some incredible campaigns of people signing up for programs just by replying to a Facebook message, and that works for that market. So I think it's also about being clear about what's kind of the way to engage. How's your preferred engagement with your market? And you can set up even automation around asking, how often do you want to get an email from us? Do you want to get an email every week, every month, of just kind of what's happening? And there's so much you can do there, but I think it's balancing the automation, the personal interaction, and also what your customers and your clients are expecting you to interact with them, your target market.
Okay, yeah, that's really good. So you can't replace the personal touch. And I guess going back to what we were talking about earlier in processes, that was something I always tried to emphasise to people. There was always a resistance to processes and following a rigid process, and I would always emphasise you have to have that balance of, you can't abandon common sense if the process is written out. There's still a human element to it, but the process should be there to actually guide you and make sure you're following best practice all the time.
Yeah, definitely. And I love what you just said there, because it's getting that consistency, and you may have cases that fall out of that, and you're spot on. Common sense does, we hope all that it does prevail, and that we step in and deal with the exceptions as they come about. But if we design a process for the majority, and whether it's through automation or it's just getting clear about who's doing what in that process, what I love about it is that if it's set up correctly, you can actually measure how successful that process is. And sometimes in some of the work I've been doing with small businesses is they're so busy and chasing their tails and getting stuff done. I know I'm in business as well, and so much to do. The list is never ending. Yeah. But when we think about some of the core parts of our business, which is kind of some of the things we talk about in our lifecycle marketing session, is let's nut it down. What are those core steps in what we deliver as a business, and how we bring people in, and how we help them to make a decision to buy? If we can get that down to those core steps and work out, how long, is it taking us to get a lead to convert to a sale or something like that? How long does it take us to fulfill on the work that we're getting a client in for? And we start measuring how effective that process is. It actually gives us some stats to actually then go about analysing, do we need to improve this process, or is it okay? Or where are the opportunities that we can actually step in and get better results from what we're actually doing? And I know sometimes that can be hard when there's so many things going on, and it might be just tackling one process at a time in your business and just working on that, getting the team involved, getting really clear about what that process is, and then working out what those measure points are, and then reviewing it on a regular basis to see, how can we make this even better?
That's right, yeah. And also looking outside to people doing similar things, you can have a look at, what measures they have and what results they're getting in those measures. So that's the typical benchmarking exercise. So it's often good to, you might feel good about your own process, but if you're actually sort of way below the benchmark, then that's a huge improvement opportunity, because somebody else is doing it better, and so if you model off them, you can improve your operation.
Oh, that's spot on, Jürgen, because you definitely don't need to start from scratch. There's plenty of businesses out there who have done what you've done for many, many years, and they've gone through the testing and trialing what works and what doesn't work. So definitely modelling is a fantastic practice, and how you can bring it into your business and also kind of make it your own and put your own little slant on it too. I think that's a good approach as well.
Yeah. All right. So what about your sales process? How do you run that? What are the steps involved in that?
Yeah, it depends on two things, because I work with existing users of Infusionsoft, and I work with people who are considering using Infusionsoft. So it's a little bit different depending on which group it is, because obviously someone who's considering Infusionsoft, we need to spend a little bit more time actually understanding what their requirements are as a business to work out whether actually Infusionsoft
is it a match or not.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'm very upfront with the people that I work with, and I've suggested to other business owners that perhaps Infusionsoft may not be right at this particular moment with where you're at and what you need to achieve. And I'll suggest other tools that will help them kind of move in the right direction. And later on we can talk about Infusionsoft when you're ready to go down that path. So taking that into account, it's usually someone contacts me. We have an initial conversation to work out whether it's something that they're ready for, for pursuing a little bit more in detail. And then we'll spend some time together to uncover some of those requirements. And then typically there might be some further information that we might need to gather depending on what they're actually looking for. If we need to look at some other tools that might really add to the power of Infusionsoft that'll really fulfill on what they're looking to accomplish. And then we might talk about some options there, and then usually we make a decision about whether we proceed forward or not, and what level of engagement and support that they need help with at that time.
Mm-hmm. Okay. And then typically they would engage you on sort of a monthly retainer to work on a certain process or certain systems within their business?
Yeah, I've got a number of clients who engage in that way. I also have clients who have an immediate project that they need more sort of intense support over a shorter period of time, as opposed to kind of a more ongoing sort of relationship. So it's just a balance of exactly kind of what the client needs and how we can help them to achieve the results particularly around the time frame that they're looking for.
Yeah. All right. And you mentioned the word balance, which prompts me, because I know you've got passion around balancing work and work-life balance. So when you're not working, what's your favourite activity?
Yeah, I am very passionate about work-life balance. I actually have another website all about work-life balance and achieving balance. And something that it's interesting that I'm very passionate about it. It's probably something that I'm very poor with myself. But and that's one of the challenges that I've always had with loving what I do. Like, I just get so much enjoyment out of it. It actually doesn't feel like work. But outside of my business and the work that I do, being that I've just moved to the beach, I feel like I've reconnected with nature again. I know that sounds really silly, but having grown up in Mackay, we did spend a little bit of time at the beach, and then living in Brisbane for a number of years, it's a little bit further to go to the beach, and now it's just up the road. The ability to just go for a walk on the beach and just be at one with myself, I guess, without the clutter, and particularly working in technology. I don't know if you feel this, Jürgen, but when you're kind of with a computer all the time, like to take a break out and kind of detach from technology, it's like a breath of fresh air. So I certainly have that sense now of that experience when I go to the beach. But the other big thing, I'm a big cricket fan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, love the cricket. I used to play back in the day, but I don't play anymore. But I actually really enjoy going to the cricket and watching cricket. And I don't think many females would normally say that. And if you're a female and you love cricket, get in contact with me. We can go to some games together. Usually one with
build a little interest group. Yeah,
interest group of females who like cricket. But
So do you watch the kind of the big cricket games, or do you go to the women's cricket games?
Not so much the women's cricket. I certainly love the fact that it's getting bigger in Australia, and we've got a really strong women's team. But certainly the men's team, I mean, we've got cricket everywhere these days with Test, One Day and Big Bash cricket. So I'm actually a bit sad, at this time that we're recording this, Big Bash is just finished. I'm like, what am I going to do in my evenings now? Watching Bash cricket. But I just love it. I've watched it since I was a kid, and just, I find it, particularly the 2020, it's quite entertaining, but I still love a good Test. Out of that as well.
Yeah. Okay. That's fascinating. Yeah, I don't think I've had a guest on that's been a cricket fan.
Yeah, right.
Now, have you read any interesting books recently? Do you read a lot of books?
To be honest, I'm not a big reader. I watch a lot of videos and I do audio. But I'm at the moment, I guess, in terms of my working a little late that I do right now. Like in the mornings, I usually watch a video to kind of start my day, to kind of set the tone. I usually watch something that's sort of inspirational, not so much on the learning side. I think being in the technology space, I'm kind of like investigating different solutions all the time. So I feel like that, you know, I've got that definitely covered.
Yeah.
But it's more around mindset you know, TED Talks are fantastic, and they're short too. Gotta love a little short.
Have you seen some good ones recently?
Good ones recently. I have, but none are really coming to my mind, to be really honest with you. I've got a couple of favourites. I mean, Simon Sinek about leadership, and I mean, that's a fantastic one. There's one that I watched this morning, was around summarising all the TED Talks and the amount of time needed to do that. And my analytical brain was like, oh, that's awesome. That's really great. And if you summed up all TED Talks with 6 words, what would they be? And then you condense those. It was pretty crazy. But there's some really great topics out there. And I think for me, being a female entrepreneur, certainly I'm sort of swaying towards looking for more female entrepreneurs out there and their messages and what they're doing. Because, you know, there's a lot of content out there, and, you know, it's always good to model and learn from those who are doing, you know, a great job of what they're doing, and taking their message and playing on a bigger scale. So certainly keep an eye out for those too.
I saw one recently that fits into that kind of model that you're talking about, you know, the female entrepreneur, and that the actress Tandy Newton.
Oh, okay.
It's probably a few years old, but I happened across it through something else.
Yeah.
So have a look for her TED Talk, because that's quite fascinating.
Yeah, I will. Yeah, I haven't heard of her before, so that'll be good. Check her out.
All right. Well, if you had a magic wand and could fix one thing in your business, what would that be?
Magic wand. For me, it would. I know I mentioned this before. It would be just really harnessing the power of a team, and you know, as you grow as a business, obviously you bring on team members, and I've got a few team members with me now. But it's getting to a stage that, you know, I could really utilise someone else to really capitalise on our time that I'm working with clients, and also to build out a few more things for clients. So I think that would be one. I think with Infusionsoft and being a certified partner, you know, I have years of knowledge with the software, and you know, you can't just flick a switch and give it to somebody else. You know, that takes time to develop that. And I think if I could wave a magic wand, it'd be all that knowledge from my head could be put into a team member, and they could go forth and conquer. I mean, as with any new team member, you know, they bring their own skills and experience, and that's of incredible value. And it's certainly being able to transfer that knowledge and the approach that we take with our clients, and getting them up to speed fast, I think would be really great.
Yeah.
I think a few wishes, but certainly I think.
All right, we're having a bit of a break-up issue there, but it looks like you're back now.
You can hear me okay?
Yeah, I heard most of that. So the challenge about getting new team members up to speed, and kind of the balance between bringing them on board with a new perspective and a different take on things, but at the same time having them contribute as fully as you are.
Yeah, that's right. And I think, to be fair, being in HR, like, I'm very conscious of a proper induction and training people up. So for any business owner who's already busy, bringing in a new team member, you've got to realise that there is going to be time needed to invest in that new team member. So it's being able to kind of balance freeing up some time. You know, you've got to pick the right time to bring on that team member, so that you're not fully maxed out, but you're able to be available to bring them up to speed and empower them and help kind of utilise kind of what and tap into what they're bringing to the table, and how you can get the most out of them, and how they can get what they want out of the position as well.
All right, well, that's great. So I think we'll move on now to what we're calling the Buzz, which is our innovation round, and it's designed to help our audience who are primarily innovators and leaders in their field get some tips from your experience, and hopefully you'll have a kind of a one-line answer that'll blow everyone away. So,
no pressure, hey?
So the first one, what do you think anyone needs to do, the number one thing anyone needs to do to be more innovative?
Oh, yes, good question. It's definitely about being open and exploring what's possible and what's going to fit in your business.
Okay.
I want to elaborate on that so much.
Oh, feel free to elaborate.
Yeah, because and I acknowledge the fact that anyone making and I've felt this as well, anyone making a technology decision in their business is no doubt an investment. It's an investment of time, it's an investment of money. It's potentially moving away from something that they've already got set up and the learning curve to understand and set something new up. So for me, it's not only about being open and understanding what options are out there, but understanding how that's going to fit in with your business, and is it actually going to help you get the results that you need? A lot of business owners want to get more leads or generate more sales or save time, but how is that tool actually going to help you achieve that? And the clearer you get about that, then the more comfortable you are with making the decision in the first place, and you can help quantify how you're going to get that return. And I think that's pretty important. But you need to be open to there's options out there, and it's worthwhile to explore for sure.
That's great advice. Yeah. So what is the best thing you've done to develop new ideas, or as you go forward, the products?
Yeah, I've got. To be honest, I can definitely share from what not to do. And I've been talking to a few clients about this lately, particularly around the membership space and setting up an online course or program that people can access in their own time. A few years ago, I heavily invested in setting that up sort of in the HR space and spent a bucket load of money, engaged a supplier to help with it, and spent a heap of time setting it up. And then we launched, and I was like, I actually don't want to do this. and also, I didn't have the list as well. I didn't have the list to actually get the return that I really needed from the investment that I put in to actually set it up. So one of the big things for me whenever launching a new product or service is actually going out and getting the feedback from the market before I actually go and develop anything. And I share that from my personal experience, and I share it from the fact that I'm working with my clients on this as well. And, you don't have to have everything set up. You don't have to have it all sorted. Go and get proof of concept. Yeah. Hopefully get some money in the bank and be upfront and authentic with your customers about where it's at and, when you're going to launch and those sort of things. But that's a huge, huge lesson. And one of the clients that I have just finished working with has just launched her first program that she could have spent another 6 months developing, and she got I think it was 11 or 12 paying customers into her first group program that she's ever run. And it was awesome because she's getting that financial return. Like, she had to kind of do the hustle behind the scenes to get everything done when it was launched, but it just meant that she was building and bringing in income at the same time. And I think that's really important, particularly for businesses. It's a huge investment to launch anything. So if you can somehow go to market, prove the concept, bring in some money and build it out, I think that's ideal. Yeah, that's great advice. It's a lean startup model, isn't it? You sort of prove the concept, get a minimum viable product and get some money in the bank, basically, for that minimal viable product, and then build it out from there as people give you feedback. Yeah, absolutely. And if anyone listening to this just applies that concept in their business, let me know. I'm keen to hear. Hopefully you get some great results from launching the next product or service that you're looking at. I'd love to hear. Yeah. I've actually gotten involved with someone that's run that very model, and
when I was referred to her for a membership site, and I thought, oh, that sounds really interesting, and then the price was so low that it was a no-brainer, so I signed up, and it was all automated at the front end in terms of I got access to the membership website and everything, and I went onto the membership website, there was nothing there other than the framework, and I sort of contacted her and I said, what's going on? I sort of missing. Oh, I'm still building that. Okay, so I was too quick.
Yeah, and I think that's so great to share that experience too, Jürgen. And you've got to be upfront with your customers. Like if you're selling something and it's not ready yet, just let them know when it's going to be ready.
This was that I found out about it word of mouth and was given the link, and she obviously wasn't ready to go public with it yet, so I think that was a bit of a the person that passed it on to me possibly jumped the gun a little bit, and I was keen. But that's really going well now. That's being built out. Like I'm way behind now because it is a learning and training sort of system, and I think she's up to about module 8 now, and I'm still on module 3 or something.
Oh, really? Yeah, cool.
So but it is a good model to do because the investment in time in putting stuff together there, like you say, you can sort of put a lot of time and money into something and then suddenly realise that either there's no market for it, it's not what people want, or as you said, you might not actually be passionate about it. You might get some way down the track and think, not sure I'm going to enjoy this.
Yeah, that's right. Absolutely.
And if you don't enjoy it, you shouldn't be doing it.
That's right. Yeah. That's my belief, definitely.
Okay, now my next question in this round is, what's your favourite tool or system for innovation? I think I know what the answer is here.
Yeah, I won't disappoint you, but definitely Infusionsoft. Yeah. There's so many things I love about it, and some of the being able to automate based on the actions that people take and whether they click on a link and to download a file, then you can follow up with them differently, or if they're a customer, you can automate that whole process. There's so much involved there, and as I said, I could go on all day about it, but definitely, I think I've shared several examples. There's just having a tool like that just makes it so much easier to actually talk to the right people who are ready to make a decision, whether they're interested in you and what you do, and getting the help that they need to really move their business forward, or whatever it is that you do with them. So yeah, it's my favourite.
All right, great. And what do you think is the best way to keep a project or a client on track?
Yeah, that's a great question, and certainly for me there's probably a couple of things. Because of the clients that I'm working with are typically struggling with time, it's really about getting them clear about, well, what's that actually costing you? And there's a great tool that I use with clients around identifying what the actual cost is for an existing kind of task that they do in their business, in terms of not just an hourly time factor, but also the cost. You as a business owner, if you've got to charge out at whatever it is, $300 an hour or something like that, and if you're doing this admin task and it's taking you 2 hours, potentially you could be charging out at that rate, or you could be going and speaking at an event and generating thousands of dollars worth in business. So for me, it's just really about understanding those dimensions and what's really important for that particular business. How can we really make sure that we're identifying where they can save time, or where they can bring in more leads or more sales, whatever it is that's really going to make the difference in their business right now, and help them do what they love doing, or why they're in business. And I think that's really important.
Okay. Yeah, that's really good advice as well. So finally, in the innovation round, or the buzz, what's the number one thing anyone can do to differentiate themselves?
Ooh, well, it's interesting because me as a certified partner, and I'll take from my experience, because I guess you're looking for what people can do to differentiate themselves, right? So me as a certified partner, there's other certified partners out there, and it's interesting because I just got some feedback from a client the other day as to why she engaged with me, and I think that's really important. If you can tap into your your existing clients, particularly those that continue to engage with you on an ongoing basis, and actually ask them, because they have choices. We all know, we all have choices, right? So I think it's actually tapping into them and saying, well, why is it that you choose to do business with me? What is it that we do? And I think that's really a great place to start. And as I shared at the start, like, you know, I bring to my business a whole bunch of experience and skills, and that also differentiates me. So I think definitely getting clear about that and that background to help you differentiate yourself. And the other thing is why you do what you do. The old Simon Sinek video we were talking about before, but why you do what you do. And for me, it's really about, well, helping businesses get that balance, whatever that is for them, so that they can go and serve their bigger purpose in the world and go and help more people. So I think being able to work out your why, work out, you know, from your clients, why they choose to engage with you, and what do you bring to the table that your experience and skills that also differentiate yourself.
Yeah, that's great advice. And I can relate to that really well, because I think I'm reading two books that are along similar veins, and they both reference Simon Sinek, and it's about, you know, why are you in business and why you're doing what you're doing. And kind of the message up front is very much, you know, anybody can be an Infusionsoft consultant, and there's lots of them around, or anybody can be a web developer, and there's lots of them around, but not, and anybody can have the tools or perhaps even the background that you have and the experience and knowledge, but very few. Well, you're the only one that's got your why, right? So it's kind of like, if you're clear about that one, and then also how do clients see you, that's a great message.
Yeah, and also aligning of values too. I mean, that's so important, particularly in the service-based industry, where we're spending a lot of time with our clients. Like, we want to hang out with people that are fun to hang out with, and it's fun and it's enjoyable, and you know, we're both moving forward, as businesses. So I think also getting clear about your values as well, and openly communicating, like, you know, Infusionsoft, as I mentioned at the start, being able to tap in and understand what they stood for as a company. Like, well, of course, I absolutely want to work with them and partner with them. So I think that also helps as well. Yeah.
All right. That's great. So what's the future for you then, and for Streamline for Success?
Yeah, it's definitely growing. I mean, we've got a bunch of clients that we're working with right now, and we're certainly growing every single month. So it's definitely growth. It's being able to leverage time, as I mentioned before, delivering online programs and courses, and I might even say a workshop that I need to get out of my home for. As you can tell, I love living where I live, and you know, it's fantastic that I get to help clients, you know, work with people in Geelong, or you know, all around Australia and the world, essentially, with the work that I do, and I'm very fortunate that I can do that. So it's probably at some stage, you know, coming together as a group of clients and doing a workshop and being able to really escalate what we do together to really be able to implement things a lot faster by coming together. So I'm putting it out there one day, Jürgen.
Yeah.
No, I do workshops a bit for my clients, but I think it's once I think we've got the team in place. That's certainly more of the team in place, I should say. You know, it's certainly where I see our business will put in place in the near future.
Okay. Well, we look forward to those workshops then.
Yeah, great.
Keep an eye out on the on your website and find out what events are happening. So.
Yeah. Now I have to do it, Jürgen.
That's right. You put it out there, so now it's got to happen. Okay, well, let's move on to the competition now. So, as I said earlier, today's prize, Mandy's very generously donated a lifecycle marketing session with Mandy herself, tapping into all her expertise. That's valued at $297, and she'll spend 90 minutes reviewing your entire systems and giving some suggestions as to what you can do to improve those and to move forward in terms of capturing leads, nurturing prospects, selling, fulfilling the customer needs, and also upselling to get more referrals. So now, what did we talk about? We said what we'd like people to do is leave a comment under the video here at the bottom of the blog post and tell us what's your biggest challenge in automating your marketing systems. Do you want to elaborate on that, Mandy?
Yeah, sure. And I think for a number of businesses, they have different challenges that they face. So I'd love to hear kind of where are you at with your marketing, and maybe you haven't automated it all, and that's completely fine. I have a number of people that I work with who haven't, and that's the great benefit of this session, and it's really, you're going to get a lot of value out of it. I do it with a number of businesses all the time, and it's really being able to look at, well, where are you at in terms of that life cycle with your customers, from lead, as you said, Jürgen, to fulfilling, to what happens next. We're finished with a client. What do we do now? So it's going through that whole process. So I'd love to hear, what some of the biggest challenges you have around automating your marketing. Maybe it's you don't know where to start, or you've only got this part done, or whatever it is. I'd love to find out more.
Okay, that's great. So leave your comments under the video, and I'll get Mandy to swing by in a couple of weeks' time and take a look at those and award the prize. Is that good?
Yeah, great.
Yeah.
Yep, it's good.
All right. Well, in conclusion, then, what's the number one piece of advice you'd give anyone that wants to be a leader in innovation and productivity? Yeah,
just be open and willing to explore what options are out there, and just get the one thing. I keep on giving you elaborate answers, Jürgen. But yeah, I think it's just being open, exploring what's possible, finding out, what is it really costing for your business right now, and what's the potential return you could get by looking at options that are out there.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's great advice, really, because I know, looking at various things, there's always things that we can implement in websites, and sometimes you find people are kind of quite close to that for whatever reason, whether they've had a bad experience in the past or whether they just don't understand what it is or the value it can bring. They're not even prepared to try. So being open to those possibilities.
Yeah, absolutely. There's as you said, Jürgen, there's a lot of people, unfortunately, that have been burnt out there, and it's terrible. I've myself included in that, and I think it's being open and being clear what you need as a business, because that will help you make a better decision, and whether the money makes sense and you're going to get the return that you need. So it's definitely worthwhile considering what's out there to make your life easier. It should be easy.
That's right. Yeah. All right. Well, Mandy, this has been an absolute privilege. I think we've been going for well over an hour now, so I really appreciate your time. Now, where can people reach out and say thank you for all that you've shared with us today?
Yeah, my pleasure, Jürgen, and so sorry. I completely went into a lot of detail, but hopefully that was really valuable. Probably the best, either visit our website, which is www.streamline4success.com.au, and it's 4 spelt out FOR, so Streamline for Success. Otherwise, just drop me through an email. Would love to hear what you got out of the podcast or the video. Would love your feedback. What are you taking from this? Because there's no point us just doing it for the sake of it. We want to make sure people get something out of it. So email's great too, info@streamline4success.com.au.
Okay, thanks, and we'll post those links below the video on the blog post when we publish it.
Perfect.
So finally, Mandy, who would you like to see me interview next on the InnovaBuzz podcast, and why?
Yeah, I would love for you to interview a good friend but good mentor of mine, John Bellamy. Mm-hmm. I've known John Bellamy for a few years, and he's doing some fantastic things on LinkedIn and using it as a tool to actually capture leads and actually turn LinkedIn into generating business out of LinkedIn. So he's doing fantastic things in that space. So I certainly recommend having a chat to him. That's
fascinating. Yeah. Well, John Bellamy, I'll be coming to get you courtesy of Mandy Brasser. Hopefully that'll be.
Sounds scary, Jürgen.
Hopefully that'll be less of a challenge than one of my recent guests who suggested Mark Zuckerberg should be my next guest from Facebook. Okay. And I said, well, do you know him? Can you introduce me? And he said, no, I want you to you to make contact and introduce me. So that'll be a challenge, but he's on my list. So.
Yeah, good. Well, good luck.
Yeah, so John will be in touch.
Yeah, cool.
All right. Well, thanks so much, Mandy, for spending time with us today. It's been a real pleasure to have you on the podcast, and I'm looking forward to seeing what comes in the future of Streamline for Success. I wish you all the best in that, and I'm sure we'll be in touch as that moves forward anyway.
Sounds great. Thanks so much, Jürgen. I really appreciate the opportunity.
All right. Bye-bye.
See ya.
I hope you enjoyed meeting Mandy as much as I enjoyed interviewing her on the podcast. It was great fun, and the key messages I took out of that was, firstly, have good systems and processes in place for your marketing. Secondly, automate as much of that as you can to leverage your time and your money. And thirdly, and perhaps most importantly out of those three, is don't neglect the personal interactions. Even though you might have automated systems and processes in place, make sure you continue to build the relationships through close personal interactions. All the show notes for this episode are going to be at innovabiz.com.au/Mandy Brasser. That is MandyBrasser, all lowercase, all one word, innovabiz.com.au/Mandy Brasser. Now remember to leave your comments underneath the video for your chance to win a marketing session valued at $297 with Mandy herself, where she will analyse your entire customer lifecycle process and look at opportunities for how you might be able to improve conversions. Now, of course, the prize is sponsored by Mandy, which is very generous of her. It's an awesome prize. And if you leave a comment to tell us what the biggest challenges you face around your marketing and automating your marketing systems, then I'll have Mandy swing by in a couple of weeks' time, pick the best entry and award the prize. Now, Mandy suggested I interview John Bellamy, who specialises in generating new business out of LinkedIn. Interview him on a future InnovaBuzz podcast. So, John, keep an eye on your inbox. We're coming to get you, courtesy of Mandy Brasser. Now, thank you for listening or viewing the InnovaBuzz podcast. We'd love you to review this podcast because reviews help us get found, and also the feedback gives us ideas for improvement. You can review us over on iTunes or on Stitcher, and while you're there, please subscribe so you'll never miss a future episode. So until next time, I'm Jürgen Strauss, and remember, if you don't innovate, you stagnate. So be adventurous, think big, and keep on innovating.